Shalom. All praise, glory, and honor goes to Yahweh, Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai, Waha Raka Kwedash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the Great Millstone, the men who taught me this truth, and also peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Lord willing, this lesson will be edifying. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. It says, "For the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, will have mercy upon Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them." And those strangers are Israelites that didn't know that they was Israelites. It says, "And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place." And the people are the Israelites, and the them are the oppressors of the Israelites, all right, which is Esau Edom, which comes in the form of the so-called modern-day white race. This is the fate of the so-called modern-day white race written in the scriptures. The scripture says, "And the people shall take them and bring them to their place." And what is the place of the so-called modern-day white race? Captivity. Okay? All the way back in Genesis, it was prophesied, all right, that the elder shall serve the younger. When you read Genesis chapter 25 and verse 23, it says, "And the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger." And who is the elder? Esau Edom. And the younger is Jacob. And we know Jacob's name was later on changed to Israel. All right. And Israel had 12 sons. And out of those 12 sons came the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. So the elder would be Esau Edom, which comes in the form of the so-called modern-day white race. And the younger would be the Israelites. So we're living in the times where we're experiencing the fall of the so-called modern-day white race, all right? Esau Edom, okay? So going back to Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 2, it says, "And the people shall take them." So now we know who the people are, the Israelites, and we know who them would be, all right? The so-called modern-day white race, okay, Esau Edom. It says, "And bring them to their place," alluding back to Genesis, the 25th chapter. What is the rightful place of the Edomites? Slavery, okay, due to the prophecy that we just read in Genesis, the 25th chapter. Remember, the words of the Most High shall not return unto him void. It says, "And the house of Israel shall possess them," all right, the Edomites, "in the land of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, for servants and handmaids," slaves. It says, "And they shall take them captives," whose captives they were. Aren't we are in captivity right now? All right, whether you Israelites here or forbear. Okay, we are in captivity here in America. And who is the slave owner? Who is the oppressor? Okay, Esau Edom, the so-called modern-day white race. So the scripture says, whose captives they were, it says, "And they shall rule over their oppressor." See that? Going back to Genesis, the 25th chapter. All right. The words of the Most High shall not return unto him void. We are living in the times where the elder shall serve the younger. Okay. We're going to take Esau Edom into captivity the same way that he has taken us into captivity via the transatlantic slave trade, okay, and sold us on auction blocks like we was cattle. That's why we're here in America right now, okay, because we angered the Most High, okay. The scripture tells us in the book of Baruch, chapter 4, and verse 6, it says, "Ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because ye moved the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, to wrath. Ye were delivered into the enemies." See that? "For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils, and not unto the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua." All right? So we moved the Most High to wrath. Therefore, he gave us up here in these end times to a vile nation, okay, which is the so-called modern-day white race. But the good thing about it is we're at the end of that prison sentence, okay? We're at the times where the elder shall serve the younger, going back again to the prophecy in Genesis, the 25th chapter, okay? Isaiah chapter 14 speaks about us taking our oppressor into captivity, all right? We know Isaiah is what? A prophet of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. He's a mouthpiece of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And the words that Isaiah spoke are the words of the Most High, which are words that shall not return unto the Most High void, okay? The scripture tells us in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, 9 and verse 10. It says, "If any man have an ear, let him hear. So if any man can understand, understand this. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity." Who led us into captivity? It's not hard to see. The so-called modern-day white race, okay? If a Jake or an Israelite didn't know it, Esau Edom is going to put it in your face at least 2 or 3 times a year on a national scale, such as these television shows. But a Edomite will blatantly let a Jake know in public that you're a nigger to him, all right? I'm superior to you. But we're living in the times where that pride is going to be brought low. The scripture says in the book of St. Matthew 23 and 12, and whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. So due to a high level of pride that this devil has, he has exalted himself. Therefore, he is going to be abased. Remember, these words shall not return unto the Most High void. Okay? So let's go back to Revelation 13 and 10. "He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity." It says, "He that killeth with the sword," all right, and what is the weapon of choice for these devils? The sword. What's the modern day sword? The gun. So it says, "He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword." See that? Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So the words of the Most High shall not return unto him void. We are witnessing in real time this take place. Remember, the Most High is the father of gradualism. Okay, so this is happening over a course of time, but it's happening day by day. This man is in the process of falling. Okay, and that's taking place day by day. When you read the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 9, it says, "For Esau," which is the so-called modern day white race, beginning with the top tier elites. It's the end of the world. And Jacob, all right, which later on name was changed unto Israel, had 12 sons. And through those 12 sons came the 12 tribes of Israel, all right, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, on down to you so-called Mexicans. But this begins with the elect out of those people. So the elect of the nation of Israel. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Okay? And these are the marvelous times that we're living in. All right? That's why this is the greatest time to be alive. All right? This is the greatest time to be an Israelite, because you're witnessing the downfall of your enemy and prophecy being fulfilled. So, Lord willing, I pray that this made sense and that this was edifying. Shalom.